Hello, agentpreneurs, and welcome to today's episode of the Daily List Report. Welcome back. Thank you for your viewership. We've got another great guest today. We've got James Ney. He's a realtor at RiverCity Elite Properties, based out of Virginia. When you hear this guy's production and that he does it by himself, it's gonna knock your socks off. I guarantee it. While you're here, though, real quick, we're doing something real fun here for Thanksgiving. We're calling it the Thanks Giveaways. So this Friday, we are doing a Starbucks gift card giveaway. 15 of them, in fact. All you have to do is go to Instagram, follow our account. On the screen right now, link below. DM us the word ListPacks, ListPacks, ListPacks. First 15 people to do that are going to get a Starbucks gift card so we can buy your coffee in the morning. Super easy to do. We want to make sure that you're getting all of this important information and these messages. All right, so back to today's show. We've got James Ney on. A couple things here I want to show. First is his website, jamesney.com. He's a 30 under 30. Check that out. This guy's awesome. Wait till you get it. Wait till he comes on. Also his Instagram, James Justin Ney. It looks like at James Justin Ney. So we got his Instagram. Link below. Click that. Definitely check him out. He's got a great account. Tons of properties on there. You're going to want to hear from this guy. So instead of me talking anymore, let me bring him on. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, James. I am too. Super excited. Okay, so let's get the facts out there, okay? You're a 30 under 30 guy, so you're hustling, you're a young guy, okay? You did 104 transactions. That's 104. I feel like I need like a big fly through on the screen right now. In 2018, you did 118 transactions in 2019, and you're on track to do 170 transactions in 2020. And you don't have a team, and you're doing this by yourself. That's mind-boggling. Right now, like half the viewers just fell out of their chair and they're like, this guy's full of it. Like, that's not true. It's not possible. How the heck do you do that? I don't even understand. How do you have time to do that kind of work?
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy schedule, but time blocking and just really keeping a rigid schedule has helped me a lot. And I get that a lot. A lot of people, even in my market, are like, there's no way this guy's selling this much without a team. He's got to have some agents running around underneath him. But yeah, it's just me. I do have an awesome assistant. She works, 40 to 50 hours a week.
Wow.
And does kind of the transaction coordinating and helps me out a lot. She's not licensed, so she's not out there showing properties or going on appointments, but she is amazing. And yeah, I mean, I've just had to kind of keep it old school with the handwritten schedule because I have to have it all on me all the time, constantly changing stuff. And I've tried going digital. I should pick that up, but
now you really blow my mind, James. So not only are you doing all these transactions, are you telling me you've got like a day runner or something?
Yeah, it's around here somewhere. But yeah, it's like a leather planner calendar.
No way.
Yeah,
it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. I mean, no matter where I'm at, I've got that thing on me in appointments, everywhere. At the gym, I've got my planner on me.
That's awesome. Well, I guess this is a great message for everyone listening, right? Like, technology is a great enabler, but man, it isn't the silver bullet. You can do it straight up old school, and you can kill it and do a lot of business.
Oh, yeah.
James, let me call something out because I see this as a common theme. So you actually started your career as a personal trainer, which means that health and fitness is important to you. I'm sure you were and are in fantastic shape, and it takes a level of discipline to be able to do that. I gotta tell you, man, a lot of agents that I talk to, former military, just yesterday interviewed a guy, former Marine, right? Personal trainer, professional athlete, right? Ballerinas, whatever. Like, there's sort of something about them where they learned at an early age discipline and drive and pushing, right? Because in the same way that you pushed your body in the gym, like, this is just a different application of that. So can you talk a little bit about that? Has it always been a part of who you were? I talked to one guy, James, who was extremely overweight in high school, transformed his life, and then found that discipline. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. Still to this day, I make time to go to the gym Monday through Friday. Early in the morning, I go for an hour every day. Saturday morning as well, and then Sundays I'll take off. But And that's just for me. I really try to stick to a schedule and kind of have certain regiments to the day, and that's like been huge for me. Not just the gym, but everything in scheduling. So I think I've always had that. I think I'm a little bit OCD, and I think it's can be a blessing and a curse. But I kind of harness it as a superpower, where like if there's something to be done, I have to do it right now. I don't care where I'm at. I could be on vacation in Florida and somebody tells me something that's not time sensitive, I will have to go back to the hotel room and do it right then. Otherwise, I can't continue. I can't enjoy my day if I have a to-do list with boxes not checked yet.
Are you married, James?
I'm not
okay.
yet. I hope to be one day.
I was going to say your wife must love that, so all good. So that makes a lot of sense, right? So when you got into real estate, talk about, I don't know how you go from 0 to 100 transactions. Talk a little bit about that. Like, how did you do that?
Well, and let me make sure, I just want to make sure any of the viewers know, my first year I did 24. I didn't do 100. I did 24 my first year. I did 63 my second year. I did 104 my third year, 118, and then now this. So,
it's
there was a
meteoric. It's still amazing.
Yeah, so but I mean, if I came, I just wanted to make sure nobody thought it was 100 first year out the gate. Yeah. But no, I mean, I think I'm really grateful because I was building lasting relationships in the gym, volunteering at nonprofits, all of these different sphere of influence networks with thousands of people before I got into real estate, not knowing that it was going to be my catalyst, like this, really snowball effect. So, I mean, you got to think working at Gold's Gym, there's 5,000 members at the gym that I was at, and I'm personal training and building relationships because I genuinely cared, never thinking that there was going to be any other transaction with these folks, just showing up every day, helping them meet their goals. That was, it was the best, most rewarding job. It just didn't pay very well. And, from that, to volunteering with different nonprofits, to being involved in different churches or groups, it was just, I had these huge networks that when I became an agent, I was able to reach out to them, and it was kind of hammered into me through different training and mentors and people in the business that you need to let everybody know what you're doing now, whether it's handwritten notes, emails, calling them, but making sure they're aware that you're a realtor and that you're excited to answer their questions or help them any way possible.
That really makes a lot of sense, James. You said something that I believe in deeply, which is, I call it value first, right? So when you're a personal trainer, you really care deeply about the people that you were training, right? Like, that's a transformational thing for a lot of people, who are trying to lose weight or get healthy or whatever. And you did that without motive, right? In a sense, it was sort of fulfilling for what it was. And that's how you build authentic, genuine relationships, so that when you come back and you're like, hey, by the way, now I'm an agent. If you're ever thinking about buying or selling a home, you should talk to me. They know you for who you are, right? So that's really, really interesting to me. And it's a great way to start a career.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the thing is I could have never planned anything have worked better, or if I tried to plan it, it would have never gone the way it went. Just being, like you said, complete. There was no motive behind it. It was just, I was building a ton of relationships for years before getting into real estate.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Okay, so you start in real estate. You put, you put your business cards out there, right? You start making some calls. How did you start to leverage that network? Like, what did you do first? You had this great network of people. Now you're an agent. What do you do?
Yeah, it was a very, looking back on my first year, there was a lot of funny stories, and I've shared these with quite a few people, and everyone gets a kick out of it. But I would go up to if I didn't have anything going on, I knew I wanted to get clients and I wanted them quick. So I actually was nervous to reach out to my sphere. I was like, people are going to think I'm too young. They're going to think I'm inexperienced. They're not going to want to use me. And I was, had all that negative self talk and just like all these fears of why I couldn't get people I knew to use me. So I started reaching out, but I didn't, I would write handwritten notes and I would call people, I would send emails, but really I was out in the field and I was searching in all the wrong places
Huh.
because the people who already knew me, liked me, and trust me is where I should have spent all my time. I probably would have done a lot more than 24 deals my first year. Instead, I was going up to the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, and I would talk to people like, "Hey, are you?" Because I knew they couldn't leave.
Oh
They're
my God,
sitting
that's
there waiting
amazing.
for hours. Yeah, like, "Hey, have you thought about buying and selling? If you found out you could buy a house, would you want to buy a house?" And I also would go to apartment complexes. I printed out flyers. I can't tell you how many times people said there's no soliciting. You need to leave. Trying to do first-time homebuyer seminars, and just really look from research and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And so, you name it, I probably tried it. And really to find out that all along I should have just been focusing on those that already knew me, liked me, and trust me.
Can we talk about that for a second, James? I want you to dive in on that a bit, right? Because I feel like that's something that people do from time to time is they forget to look at sort of what we call the low-hanging fruit, right? The stuff that's right around us. And is that because you were afraid of being salesy to people that you had a relationship with? Like, why do you think you didn't start in what in hindsight was the obvious place?
I think a big part of it, honestly, is fear of rejection. Is how will I feel if somebody that's close to me, if I put myself out there, try to earn their business, and they say no because of what are now my biggest assets is what I was most fearful of being young in the business. People love that. They love the energy. They love a go getter that's really focused on um, being successful and helping others. And I also thought that my inexperience or not being in for 20 years was going to be a factor. Um, However, I guess I think the biggest thing was just fearful that they would not use me. So I didn't want that rejection,
Yeah.
which I had to get out of my mind quickly. Is like, I can't win them all. If I put myself out there and even 5 out of 20 use me, then that's great.
But hold on, James. Isn't it? It's slightly more than that, right? Because you talk about fear of rejection, right? But you knew and you experienced people in line at the DMV, which is a great story, right? You know that, but that's a great story, right? You knew that most of them were going to reject you. How is that rejection different than the rejection from your network?
I guess that rejection is I didn't, if I didn't know them or have any rapport or any connection with them, then it's almost like I expected rejection. And so that if it didn't happen, whereas if I was going to somebody from church or something like that, I think part of it was, I don't want them, to have a reputation as being, a real salesy guy that's just constantly pestering them. Um, and I think part of me was like, I'll start going heavier on my sphere of influence once I have some sales under my belt so that I can actually, come in there and be educated when I talk to them versus not knowing anything.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. No, that makes a lot of sense. You know, I'm curious now. So you're building your business, right? Obviously, you're finding success, and success breeds success, clearly. What role does, let's say, social media? So I'm looking at your Instagram right here, and you're active. You got a lot of posts on there. You got a good following on there, right? But you're a day runner guy, right? So talk to me a little bit about what role social media plays in your business.
I think social media is really important for any agent, really any business owner, anybody that's in sales. And at first, I was also nervous to use social media. For like the first year, I hardly posted anything on
Huh.
social media. Same thing. I had, or I guess a little different. I didn't want to look like I was bragging or boasting when I had
Yeah.
a closing or a new client. And I had a friend of mine just hammer it in, and he runs a marketing agency, and he said, James, like, social media is the most powerful free tool that you could ever have, and you're broadcasting to your sphere of influence, and you need them to think about you. When they think about real estate, you want them to think your name pop up first. So he kind of hammered it in, like, anytime you sell a house or you have a value add or anything that would be of any value to any of your followers, you need to pump it out there. You need to post it. You need to show them what you're doing, show them you're successful, and show them that it works. If they work with you, it'll work. And so year 2 is when I started kind of really diving into that. I didn't have a Twitter before. I don't have a big Twitter now, but from working with him, I actually have brought him in, and he does some consulting for me and kind of manages my website and helps me stay on track. He's, reaching out to me on Monday, on Wednesday, on Friday. Hey, anything cool happening? Anything that would be good to post?
That's awesome.
Any open houses this weekend? And then of course, like, clients love it. Sellers love to see their property.
They really do.
Yeah. So it's really very impactful all the way around, in my opinion.
James, let's go back to one thing, right? Which is, everyone watching right now, James, is looking at you and they're like, how did he do it? And I know we've talked about how you did it, right? But it's like, there's no magic formula here. You're not like, oh, I used to be like, I don't know, my parents had a 4th generation brokerage, right? Mm-hmm. You weren't like some famous dude, right? Who then parlayed that into real estate. Like, and I mean no disrespect in this, that, but you're just a guy, right? Like a hardworking 100%. Guy.
Yeah. I mean, and I tell people all the time, it's, in my opinion, and I don't I don't use Zillow as like a lead gen source. I don't use realtor.com, any of those paid lead gen sources. It's strictly working by referral. And that's been huge for me. And I think that's how, if I was using some of those lead gen sources, I would be bogged down or slowed down trying to earn people's trust versus, like, typically when I go on the appointment, because it was such a strong referral, it's kind of just assume that they might not be shopping for other agents. And listings are different, but if I'm going on, to meet a buyer, a lot of times it's that trust is already there because of the referral.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so to answer your question, I mean, it really working by referral is the only way I could produce at this volume as an individual agent.
So James, let's dive into that, right? So I think like 90% of your business is repeat or referral business, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so You've got this steady stream. Agents are notoriously bad at this, right? So I've got a guy who comes on the show a lot. He's a loan officer, right? He's like, look, agents, it's like, if you got 1,000 people on your phone, statistically speaking, 100 of them are going to move every year. 100, right? That's more business than most agents will ever see in their entire life. And it's right there on their phone. And yet, if you look at, and I'm going to screw up this stat, I always do, I really need to commit this to memory, but the number of people who reuse the same agent for their next transaction, it's like 10%. Whatever the number is, it's super low, right? And yet, they report being satisfied with that agent. So it's not like they didn't like the agent that they did the transaction with, they just forgot them. Why are agents so bad at farming their existing sort of lead base, and how can they get better?
Yeah, that's a really good one. And I think that that's been a huge part of the referral source and how I'm able to do it is I focus a whole lot on the follow-up. So as soon as we close, of course, I'm bringing a closing gift and trying to make it personal and letting them know that I would be so grateful for any of their referrals. But then after that, so a lot of my friends that are agents, I ask them, like, how often do you follow up? And some of them never do. They just, once the transaction is over, they hope that, 5 years down the road, they'll get that call when the house goes to sell. But I think it's really important to stay in touch. I wish I could call them more often. And I used to be really good about calling, every month almost. Hey, how's the house? What's new? How are you doing? But I think that it's really important to follow up, and ways to do that are, dropping gifts off by. So I like to do like seasonal gifts. In the fall, there's a friend of mine makes candles. So I'll order tons of homemade candles that are fall scents and drop them off to past clients' houses. Just actually for Halloween, we did pumpkins, and we, had a little tag on there like, hey, if you carve it, and this was dropped off individually to past clients' homes. And then if they wanted to carve it and take a picture and and tag my social media on Facebook or Instagram, then they would be entered into a contest, which then they could win a gift card. So just cool engagement opportunities that people will actually enjoy. So everybody loves a candle. It's Halloween. Who doesn't want a free pumpkin? Other ones like in the summer, a beach towel. We've done that before. So coming up with cool ways to touch the clients in a way, whether it's what we call a pop by, where we just drop by a gift. And then, of course, writing letters, or even better, the best, in my opinion, is calling them and asking them how they're doing. Are they still loving their house? Is there anything they need help with? Do they need a referral, a painter, a carpet, a floor guy? And just really the follow-up is huge. And that's what I need to do better. I could always be better at it, but that's what I focused a lot of my time and energy on.
James, that all makes sense. And my mind is sort of blown today, right? Because I'm a technology guy, right? I've built multiple tech businesses. I think about the world through the lens of technology, right? And again, what you're saying, everything you're saying to me, right, is you're like day plan, or, phone calls, dropping off pumpkins and candles. Like, it's super old school, but I don't mean any disrespect by that. It just goes to show that, like, you can still do it that way. Like, it's really about the personal touch, the relationship. And those are things that technology can't deliver on. Yes, technology can keep you more organized or remind you to do certain things, right? But at the end of the day, what you're talking about is sort of the human side of this, which is, I'm going to call somebody and I'm going to genuinely care about how they're doing, right? How was month one in your new house, right? Is there anything I can help you with? You need a referral to a plumber. Like, that sort of touch, but coming from a genuine place, is really what still drives this business. Is that right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that in a lot of people that reach out like, hey, I'm going to get my real estate license, I think that's the one thing. Like, you can teach somebody to work a lot of hours. You can teach them how to do a market analysis and price a property correctly. You can teach negotiation, but I don't know that you can teach, like, how much you care. And
yes.
That's what's huge in this business, is I think people can see right through somebody if they're in and out and they just want to, get the house on the market, get it sold, get the commission check, and then call me in 5 years and hopefully we can do it again, versus how do I make this easier on you? How do I try to make this a seamless transition? How do I best protect you? And letting them know what you're doing.
I think you nailed it, James. Like, I'm sorry, but I think, look, you and I just met today, right, for the first time, right? But what you're saying, I think, is absolutely the key to your success. Like, I can't think of anything else, right? The pumpkins aren't doing it, right? I'm not saying they're not helping, right? They're not the thing. The thing is you, and the thing is that you actually care about your buyers and your sellers, and genuinely so, and they can see that. And that makes a more memorable connection, which makes them more likely to recall you and who you are for their next transaction, or to remember your name when their buddy, wants to buy or sell a home. And the pumpkins and the candles, right, and those things, those touches, are just those little nudges, right? Hey, I'm still over here. I'm still in business. Your Instagram, where you're posting all your houses that you were afraid would look braggadocious, actually serves as a powerful reminder, which is proof of production, which is, I'm not only still doing this, because people don't know, right? I'm doing this at a high level. So all of those things, I think, sort of encompass and surround what really is the essence of your success, which is that you give a damn.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and I think people see it all day long. And then also communication. I know a lot of agents in the business that, want to have somebody on their team email and take it to the finish line. Of course, that buys back a lot of time for any agent, but I think people want to know what's going on, hear from their agent, and really have an open line of communication, which I try to be really good about. And of course, it does eat into any personal time, but at the same time, I mean, to really sell a lot of real estate, you got to make yourself available for the client, in my opinion. You've got to be able to answer calls, after 5. I mean, I'm answering calls usually till 10, 11 o'clock at night.
You without question, you have to do it, right? Like, look, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a founder, right? Which means that like you, I'm always on, right? It doesn't matter if it's Sunday morning, Saturday night, 6 a.m. It doesn't matter when it is. My first company was actually based in Asia. I can't tell you how many times I got calls at like 3 o'clock in the morning, man. It's crazy, but it's what you do. It's what you signed up for. And so I think that's absolutely the case. And it's not for everybody, right? That's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody.
But what is for everybody is identifying how to connect with your buyers and sellers in a way that is authentic and genuine, right? Like that is in a sense for everybody. And whether that leads you to one transaction a year as a kind of a side hustle, to use a modern term, I don't know, you're young, a lot younger than I am, so, or 100 transactions, right, a year, that makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you a question, right? Because I'm curious to know how you've changed and adapted, right? Like you're growing, and it sounds like this growth is really fueled by referrals, repeat customers, right? Word of mouth, because you're like, hey, James is the guy. Like that's who you call. This year has been kind of a weird year, right? And obviously with coronavirus and all this craziness, I don't think I'm supposed to say that word because YouTube might censor the video, so maybe we'll have to take that out. But whatever. With the pandemic this year and what's going on, how have you had to adapt and change what you do and how you do business?
You know, it slowed down for a couple weeks when the shutdown was kind of going on, or phase one, phase two, which I think a lot of different markets experienced. For me, just the basics, wearing a mask, using hand sanitizer, not letting showings pile up on top of each other. And that's just the basic stuff, and trying to protect clients. And if a client doesn't feel comfortable, then we're not doing it, whether it's showing a house, whether it's waiting till later to list.
Yeah.
I was never trying to push anyone to do anything they didn't want to do as far as listing or buying or whatever the case may be. But in my opinion, I mean, as you shared my numbers from 2018 to 2019 to 2020, obviously this year is by far my best year yet.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that is just market conditions, the low interest rates, and people wanting to really buy real estate or sell real estate because they were cooped up in their houses and they decided that they wanted more space or more outdoor entertaining, whatever the case may be, coupled with the fact that there wasn't as many events going on. There weren't birthday parties, weddings, stuff that eats into a lot of agents' time. So there was less events, but a huge demand for real estate. So it was very, the pandemic, I wish it didn't happen. I hate it, but it was very helpful for some realtors' businesses. And a lot of homeowners, if you just look at it from a real estate point of view, is helpful for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, James, as we sort of wrap up here, I want to know, I'm sure everyone wants to know, what's 2021 going to look for you? I mean, you look at this growth, 100, and say you get to that 170 number this year, you're awfully close. What does 2021 look like?
I don't know, honestly. Every year my goal is just to beat last year, even if it's by one transaction. That's all my goal has ever been, is just do a little bit more and be a little bit better than I was the year before. So 2021, I guess I'll do everything in my power to try to get, if I get 170 this year, get 171 next year.
I love that. See, I what I like about that is in a sense, I like simple goals, right? Like you can distill it down, any which way, right? But at the end of the day, you're like, I just want to be better than I was the day before or the month before or the year before. And so I think that's awesome advice. James, I've learned a lot from this. This has been a really eye-opening conversation for me. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I don't know if you have any parting words for our agents out there. If so, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the best advice that I could give would just be to try to put the fear aside. I know it's a really scary process if you're just getting started or you're trying to grow. And maybe I'm just a really fearful person, but maybe any of you viewers have felt the same, and just try to put that aside and don't be scared of rejection. And if you're new, don't be scared of being new. I think everybody just wants somebody that's going to work hard for them, be honest with them, and have an open line of communication. So if you can at least convey that to your clients, you're already ahead of a lot of other agents.
Well said, James. Well said. I think that's tremendous advice. James, thanks so much for joining today. I hope we have a chance to talk with you again sometime.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, James. We'll see you soon. All right, well, there you have it. I think that was a really cool episode. It was just so different from a lot of the agents that I speak to. I mean, he's built an amazing business. It continues to grow, and he's doing all of the right things, right? Which is he's leading with real care and honesty and passion for his craft, which is helping people buy and sell homes, right? And that transparency, like that authenticity, is something that comes through. And what he's done that most agents don't do is he's been able to turn that into a set of referrals and repeat business, which fuels his business, right? So he doesn't buy leads, he doesn't do all of that crazy stuff. And he uses, social media like Instagram for his proof of production. Like there's so many good things that come out of this. So I hope you learned as much as I did today. Please consider, while you're here, subscribing to the channel. Click the little bell to be notified of all future episodes. And until tomorrow, be safe, be healthy, be happy. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.